Yo, what's going on, Fearless Gang? Welcome back to the channel. So really quick, we just hit 1K subscribers on YouTube. And I know that's a small accomplishment, but it means so much to me, to every single one of you that already subscribed. So thank you so much for that. And with that being said, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we're uploading videos every single day and you're not going to want to miss out on them. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about scales and chords and a little bit of music theory and how I think about it when I start making chords and get into that process. So we're going to talk about some of the most common used progressions and how you can make them your own. So let's jump right into this. Alright guys, so for this demonstration I'm going to be using an F major, and I've been using a lot of major scales lately. I just like how they're laid out more. So if you're using a minor scale, it's going to be very similar, but it's going to be a little bit different, a little different tweaks here. So when I'm looking at a major scale, so if we're starting at F, we can build chords from there. And how you're building a chord is once you have your scale outlined right here, and if you don't have the scale midis, go ahead and grab them in the description below. They're completely for free. So when you're building out a scale and you have all the notes highlighted, you're going to skip every note. So we're going to go F to A to C here, and this is going to make our first chord, which is an F major. And then following that, we have the next one in our scale, which is G. But G is going to be a minor. You noticed I had to put this note down, so that's going to make it a minor. So since there is more space in between the second note to the third note, that's what's going to separate it from a minor. Because if we put this back down to an F, you'll notice that there's more spaces. There's 3 spaces in between the first and second. So the second one in here is G minor. Alright, the third one's also going to be a minor. Okay, you can see that when I raised it back up, I didn't have to change where this middle note was at, so it's still a minor. A minor. Alright, we're then going up to A sharp, and this one's going to be a major. So we're moving this note up. And as we go up the scale, you'll notice if it's a major or minor by where this middle note is placed in there. So an F major scale is not only major chords, it's going to have those minor chords in between the different notes, in between the different chords. Okay, so one other thing to note is the 6th chord in this scale is going to be the relative minor, okay? And if you're in a minor scale, it's going to be the relative major scale. So if we count up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the relative minor here is going to be D. Okay, so that's the relative minor to our major scale. And you'll notice that a lot of chord progressions start with the relative minor and build off of that. They either end up there or they start there and go down. So let's take a look at some common progressions that you hear in music all the time. So if you want to do the counting, you would start at 6, we're going to go down to 5, and then to 4. And then you hear this all the time, it's insane. So let's build this out really quick. Okay, so this probably sounds familiar to you because this progression is used in a lot of trap beats today. And usually what is followed up by it, so if we make this 8 bars, what's usually followed up by it is just climbing back up the ladder. So we can start here and then go back up from there. Okay, so this is what that sounds like. So you could use this progression as the base of your melodies. This isn't going to be your full melody. Maybe this is just the piano that you're using and you have some counter melodies on top of it. Maybe you have some top notes on your piano, but this is a very solid foundation for making beats because the progression is lit. It's awesome. You hear it all the time. Producers love to use this combination. So what are we looking at here? We have a minor, a major, and then another minor. And that's what makes this so powerful, is because it's switching up between the different kinds of chords here. So you could also add some bass notes to this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take the bottom note of this. When you're making bass notes for your chords, you want to start at least with the bass notes that are on the bottom of your chords, and then you can tweak it from there. So what we would do is we would just drag this down. And maybe we go an octave down past that. And you could even go one lower if you want it to sound a little more grungy. So one other thing I want to draw your attention to is you can change up these chords just by changing one of the octaves on any of these. So let's say we wanted to make these a little more dynamic. We could take all the middle notes here, raise them up an octave, and it's still the same exact chords. Okay, they just have different octaves. So let's listen to this. Let's say you wanted to change up one of the chords. You could make this one up. You could take this note and put this up. And maybe we take the middle one from this one and put it up too. And these chords are just going to be a little bit different here, so that they're not playing the same chords over and over again. Okay, so it sounds a little bit different there. So you can add all kinds of variation just by pitching one of the notes up and down a different octave. So keep that in mind when you're making chords. If it's sounding a little too stale, go ahead and switch some of them up, especially if you're using the same chords over and over again. Just change one of the octaves on one of the notes, and you can get a completely new progression and a new sound just doing it that way. Okay, so let's take a look at more of like an aggressive dark piano type beats. So usually what they do is for the bass notes, they usually go from a 6 to a 4, and then you just build some high notes off that. You could go 6 5 4, 6 4, something around that range always sounds good. We're just gonna drag this out, and then we're gonna grab our 4, which is our A sharp, and drag that out as well. And you can put this in any order, it doesn't matter. So we could do this for this length and then do something like this, or vice versa. Alright, so you could put that here, you could put that here, doesn't really matter. It's all gonna, whatever sounds good to you. So let's go ahead and duplicate this over. I might actually drop this down another one so it's more bassy. Here we go. Alright, so now we got some bass notes, so now what we can do is go ahead and build some top notes off of it. Okay, so you could do something like this. Alright, and you could even change it up, you can make it a little bit different, whatever sounds good to you. And let's say we want to duplicate this over. You could even go in and change just the last one to make it a little bit different here. Maybe you want to put this top note to be a little bit higher. So you could do something like that. Maybe we duplicate this 2 times. But you see that you could go in here and make something really simple and just change up one of the sections, and you could build a powerful bass line for your beat just doing it like that. So let's listen to this really quick. Alright, you could even change up the bass if you wanted to. You could do something like this. Make it really simple. Alright, but that's a little bit too progressive for me. I'm not really liking how that sounds, so maybe we take this back a little bit. So let's switch over to a different instrument here. And let's look at how we can make like sort of a hyper pop type beat. So a hyper pop beat tends to go up the scale instead of down it. We've been looking at going down the scale just now. So let's take a look at going up. So let's start at 4, go to 5, and then go to 6. So we know 6 is D. So 4 is going to be A sharp. So let's start at A sharp here. So this is the basic progression for like a hyper pop type of beat here. And maybe you have your notes in different spots, but this is the basic setup for it. So you start with the 4th, you go to the 5th, and then to the 6th. All right, remember that we're just counting the notes that go up. So starting from F, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to the C, which is 5, and then we're going to the D, which is 6. And then you just build the notes up from there. And then you could add some bass notes to this as well, just to give it a little more body. Let's say maybe you want to make this a double at the end really quick. Alright, and the same rules apply as we did with the last one. So if you want to take all these middle notes and shift them up an octave, you could totally do that as well. I'm not really liking the bass on this certain instrument that I'm using, but you can still play around with the different note structures here. Okay, you could even raise these up an octave as well. Alright, and maybe you like how that sounds, but it's just an octave too high. You just bring the whole thing down an octave. So really you're just starting with the foundation, and then you can mess with the different octaves of the notes. You can put the notes in different spots, and you can get a feel for it that way. But once you have these basic progressions down, you can see how you can start to build out these beats. Now this is just, again, these are just like a base. This is like the base of your melody. So you could add counter melodies to it. You could maybe go in here and add some other notes, like if you wanted to make some top notes to this. Let's see. Maybe you just copy this over. Alright, so you can see how I just did that super quick. I didn't even really have to listen to it, but you could totally build some top notes like that and make it even more of a complex melody just by playing around with the different notes and getting a feel for it like that. But anyways, guys, this is going to wrap up the beat on basic chord theory and how you can build these very common progressions that you hear all the time in different beats these days. These are just the ones that sound the best and that producers have picked up on and used time and time again. So definitely take advantage of everything that I shared in this video. And once again, guys, thank you so much for 1K followers. And subscribe to the channel if you're new, because we're dropping amazing tutorials like this every single day, bro. But besides that, I'll be catching you guys again in the next one. Peace out.